sitting down in the woods. He wouldn't leave it even if he could. 'Cause life is good, yeah!
Hickok45, your internet shooting companion, coming to you from the hills of Tennessee, the home of Dolly Parton and Alvin York and many others, right? So proud to be here in the fine state of Tennessee, as I'm sure you're proud to be wherever you are, whatever state, whatever country. So, we're back again. Going to chat at you a little bit. Well, what are we going to chat about this week? Oh man, who knows? All sorts of odds and ends, I guess. Got a few things on the list here. By the way, if I don't have at least 4 or 5 things on the list, I'll just go bi-weekly here now. I don't want to just, ramble about stuff that's totally irrelevant. And but there's nothing sacred about doing this show every week. We may, I don't know, some weeks we may skip a week or we may not. I don't know. But anyway, just be aware of that if you don't see it posted, some weekend. Don't want to just chat to be chatting, or I might be busy, or might be out of town. So please be aware of that. We have a few of you seem to be pretty dependent on this coming through on Saturdays or Sundays, which is great. I'm glad to hear that you enjoy it. I'm glad to see that you enjoy it. Because I really don't do a lot of preparation. I just kind of think of things that I might want to talk about on it. Make notes while I'm driving sometimes, or if something comes to mind. But I didn't have a lot this week, but we'll see. You never know. Sometimes I get started and something comes to my mind that I think might be important, and I just rattle on about it. So anyway, put your seatbelt on, get you something hot or cold to drink, and we'll talk about a few things like some recent videos. Maybe you got something to say about gun shops, guns I don't have, instead of guns I did have. And new subs about some of the new folks coming in, a few comments to people that maybe haven't been with us all that long, and we'll see what else comes up. Okay, so fasten your seatbelts and let's just actually, you don't need a seatbelt because this is pretty laid back, and we'll just chat about a couple of things. And of course we'll do the gun action of the week. I wouldn't want to pass up an opportunity to confuse you, so we'll do that. And I also wanted to welcome all the recent subscribers, the new people. We're picking up a lot of new people every week, every day, and it's just really an interesting situation because I have people who come in, comment, and send me messages that I've communicated with for months and years, perhaps. But then I have to remember a lot of folks are new, and so we appreciate y'all coming in, and especially if you're listening to this crazy radio thing. You might be becoming a hardcore viewer, right? But certainly glad to have you. Hope you get back through the videos, a lot of videos, and we take pride in every single one of them. So I hope you have gotten through the list and are working your way through those, because there's some. If you like shooting, if you like what we posted yesterday or last week, you like what we posted 2 years ago, and I think that's pretty much the case. So we have some pretty unique videos back through there, some short videos, longer videos, but I think each one of them has something to offer you as the shooting enthusiast, or else you would not be here. You would not be listening to this, that's for sure, would you? But anyway, hopefully if you're new and you're listening to this, you read the profile and kind of see how we operate and where I answer questions and all that. Don't think I'm ever rude because I don't answer a question. It's just because I'm incredibly busy and swamped with messages and things. And I still read every private message. I don't answer them all, of course, but I do read every private message. So all that goes into the hopper. If you make a suggestion or ask me if I've got this gun, you'd like to see that gun or whatever. So it's all getting mentally registered, at least as best my mind can register anything. So anyway, check the playlists. Especially check the shooting tips playlist. If you're a new shooter, I do get frequent questions about how you can learn to handle your Glock 23. I get those all the time about somebody who's got a new gun and they don't feel like they're shooting it very well. They're slinging bullets all over the place. Well, we've all been there, and we all do that occasionally anyway, even if we're experienced. So I do have a few videos. I did these a while back, but apparently they still wear well because, I mean, I don't know if I know anything better now that I didn't know then. But quite a few people come back and tell me that they really helped. So for whatever that's worth, check out that the shooting tips playlist, and check out all the playlists, and even outside the playlist. I'm sure I've got some of our good videos not in a playlist yet. It's just hopefully I've managed them pretty well, but I think there are a few of them hanging out there somewhere that are not in a playlist. So anyway, welcome all the new shooters. We appreciate you being here. Don't know how you got here. Probably searching for a gun video and stumbled upon us. I know we got a lot of folks back in October. If you're not familiar with it, we did the pumpkin carving video again this past year. We've done it 2 years in a row. And the one we did in October, if you were not aware of that, went kind of viral, I guess, for a shooting video. We had over, I guess, around 500,000 just right away on that video. Got picked up by Fox News and newspapers all over the country and Fox News affiliates and all that. So that one went pretty wild and was quite a surprise, of course. But we got a few people coming in during that time period that had not been familiar with the videos. But it's growing pretty fast, as you can tell from the subscription rate and everything. Just the weekly changes, and that number, it just shows how many new folks are coming in, and we're sure glad to have all of you. Glad you're here, and hope you see something you like. So, glad to have you. That's about all I needed to say about that, I guess. We appreciate you. We got a message from a guy this week that said he'd been at a gun shop and was told by a clerk that he was dissuaded from purchasing a Glock because of I forgot what it was, unreliability or something, and was encouraged to buy something else, and wanted to know what I thought about that and different things. And it reminded me of that old gun shop dilemma, that issue that comes up when you're shopping for really anything. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about that on this week's show. And not because it was Glock. Could have been anything. If you're in a gun shop, and we could talk the same topic here, talking stereos or just anything that we shop for, washing machines, cars, you name it. And you're going to have the same fundamentals at play. Think about business and how business operates, and how salespeople operate sometimes within those businesses. And gun shops are a little unique, because you've got the various product lines, and almost any gun in that shop would serve, the purpose of whatever, you need, a home protection. Let's say you need a gun for home protection. You felt kind of naked without something. You don't have a firearm. Well, you could walk through the door of a well-stocked gun shop with your blindfolded and just grab a gun, right? And it would be a gun, whether it's a bolt-action rifle, a shotgun, or a .22. It is a gun. You have made a major leap, right, into being able to protect yourself if you ever needed to. But of course, we all want to go beyond that. We want to pick something that's suitable for our needs and that fits us and everything. Well, I digress. You're going to hear that kind of thing about any firearm. I remember shopping for stereos and things back in the 70s or 80s, and what the sales clerk recommended, of course, was probably one of those that was on his shelf, right? If they had 3 or 4 different models, bet you that's what he recommended. And then you always had the issue of having a really established company. They say it's a stereo or a gun or whatever that's been around for a long time, and everybody knows they make a really quality product. And I don't know, I've not been in retail business that much, but I know that you get special breaks from some companies. You get, I know they're not supposed to sell something for a different price, to one store versus another, but I know there are quantity issues. If you buy certain quantities, you might get a free this or free one or something. So you essentially end up getting a better deal. Well, if you think about that, well, let's use Glock for an example. And it could be the situation with any gun. You could be in a gun shop in Arizona or in Oregon, and somebody be telling you that Springfield XDMs are junk, and you don't really want to buy one of those. You want to buy something else, a SIG or whatever. So it could be with any gun, but it does come up with Glocks, I think. One of the situations I think to think about is that, let me drink of water here, but one of the things you want to think about is Glocks, for example. Glocks basically sell themselves, and I don't think, I may be wrong, but I doubt that Glock is bribing gun shops to stock their products. In fact, I know they've got a deal where you got to order a certain number of Glocks or models to be a Glock stocking dealer, I think they call it, or something like that. And the other companies may do the same thing. But Glocks are everywhere in the world. Everybody knows they're great guns and all that sort of thing. Here I go, put on my Glock hat again, right? So they don't have to persuade a gun shop to carry them. In fact, some gun shops have trouble getting the numbers of Glocks that they want. There's such a demand, and they just can't get them. But maybe they have shelves full of some other models, and so you got that in play. So you always have to think about what agenda might be in play there in the gun shop, or with a specific clerk, of course. Everybody has their preferences. And that's a tough thing. If I were running a gun shop, I would really encourage and tell my employees and clerks to try not to have preferences, as much as possible. See what the customer wants, ask a lot of questions, and show them different options. See what feels best to them. Hopefully you don't have any junk in the shop, and you're just showing them the various options that they have, and let them make that choice. But we all have biases, and so that's just going to be in play. Of course, anyway, my answer to the guy was, that's obviously silly. He probably has a shelf full of SIGs or Springfields or H&K, I don't know, and not as many Glocks. Or you also always have the option, where's the profit margin? Let's think dollars and cents, let's think business. And someone who runs a shop, or someone who works in a shop, or maybe a manager in a shop might be able to address this better than I. But the profit margin, there you go again. How much do you make when you sell, and I don't know, an XD versus a Glock, or versus a SIG versus an M&P? What's the profit margin on that gun? And how easy is it to replace? What kind of relationship does the gun shop have with Smith & Wesson, H&K, SIG, Glock, Springfield? Are replacements, is it easier to get new stock? I don't know. Just things to think about. And then, of course, I'm overcomplicating a situation. It could just be that the clerk doesn't like a particular gun. And this doesn't have to be Glock. It could be any brand, as you know. Definitely could be. So anyway, going into a gun shop, it's a bit of a jungle, rainforest. You need to do some research before you go in. And a good place for that's online, actually. I mean, people will criticize the forums and things because anybody can say anything, right, on an internet forum. But as you prowl around the internet forums, whether it's Glock Talk or the Firing Line, the High Road, and any number of others, you do begin to see patterns. That's what I do. If I'm thinking about a firearm, I just look around and see what people are saying. And it helps me out. If I were going into some new area, now I'm not going to take for get the gospel what someone says just because I see it online, of course. But if I were tomorrow needing to shop for something I just know nothing about, what would that be? Probably a lot of things, right? I don't know. Maybe it's a hearing aid. I don't know. I know nothing about hearing aids. What if I were going to shop for them? Or let's say I was going to shop for some really nice electronic shooting muffs. I know there's some companies that make really, really nice ones. I have some pretty good ones from Howard Light. They were like $60 or $70. I know you can get up into a $200 and $300 category, and you get some, I don't know, just better ones, right? I've never really put that money into those before. What was it? Pro Ears? I don't know. That company comes to mind. I'm not sure. So you see, I don't really know much about that category. Well, I could spend a few hours browsing the forums, searching for electronic earmuffs, seeing what people are saying, what they're using, and I guarantee you, it wouldn't take me long to figure out which ones are probably really good. And I know nothing about it, and I'm just basing it on internet talk, chat. But I'm basing that on people like you and me who have had experience with it. And yeah, you're going to get the flyer, of course, occasionally, some idiot that, doesn't take care of anything and it broke his. But you're going to see patterns develop, aren't you? So anyway, I would do research, talk to a lot of people, and figure out, before you go into a gun shop, what you at least are pretty sure is accurate. And you don't have to get into big arguments with gun shop clerks or anything. And most of them are pretty good. But just know what you want, know what direction you're moving in, and chances are you start asking about a model they don't have and they have a little trouble getting, whatever the manufacturer is, they're not going to recommend it probably, at least some of them won't. So anyway, like I say, it's a rainforest out there. You just have to kind of wade through, do your research, and try to get mad. Everybody, you may have a gun shop clerk who is extremely biased and might even be a little bit obnoxious. That's kind of rare. My findings in that regard, in terms of negative experiences, is usually more of a personality issue. You find people that have no personality. It's not that they're obnoxious. It's just they just have no personality sometimes. But and don't help you enough, or won't answer questions as thoroughly. But it could just be somebody brand new. Someone's really excited about firearms, and they just don't know much about them a whole lot themselves. And the gun shop may have had some trouble finding help, and this guy's obviously going to be a great employee, is a really honest person, and is anxious to learn, and just hasn't learned enough yet. Just that simple. So gave him a break too. There could be that situation. So anyway, I rambled a little too long on that, but it's something we all face at times, and it's a business issue. I mean, again, think dollars and cents. Think the big agenda and why someone might recommend a certain product over another. Lots of reasons. Somebody suggested I talk about my favorite Western movies in a radio broadcast, and it sounded like a pretty good idea to me. Now, I won't bore you folks that don't like Westerns with 20 minutes of Westerns talk here, but if you've seen enough of the videos, that I do love the guns of the West and that sort of thing. And maybe you're not a big Westerns fan. Maybe you're a modern gun aficionado. That's all you really care about. And you are listening today. Well, branch out a little bit. Branch out. One of the things I hope that the videos do accomplish is encouraging people to try other firearms and enjoy all the various firearms, or not all of them, but different areas and types of firearms, because they're all so much fun, and you actually learn some very interesting history through those firearms. But movies, I'm probably leaving out some. I just jotted down a few kind of spur of the moment, but some of my very favorites are Outlaw Josey Wales. Some of these may not fall into pure Western category, depending on the setting where they take place. But Outlaw Josey Wales has always been a favorite, and same with Jeremiah Johnson. I don't know, it's not a pure Western as you think of a Western, maybe, but those two movies I actually purchased back in the early mid 80s. I was actually working at the time for a company that distributed videos, and this was back before videos were out there for us to purchase. You couldn't go buy a VCR tape. You could only rent it. I know some of you, the younger folks, probably have a hard time imagining that. And if you bought it, you had to order it. And I remember paying $70-some, $75, I think, for Outlaw Joseph Wales, and the same price for Jeremiah Johnson. Now, I think that was maybe my price, kind of an employee price, actually. It may have been more than that, maybe closer to $100 if you had just ordered one. So I like those movies that much, and of course that was a novelty at the time, to be able to have a movie you could just play anytime you wanted. Unless you've got some age on you, you don't really know or remember a time when you didn't have pretty much complete freedom to just watch any movie you wanted to. Just go buy it, order it, watch it. It didn't matter how much you liked a movie in 1970. How you gonna watch a movie, a John Wayne movie or anything, if it didn't just happen to appear on TV? And in the pre-cable days, before cable TV, where was it going to appear? Maybe on a Sunday afternoon, if you're lucky. Friday night at the movie, I don't know. You just had 3 network channels, and unless it came back to a theater. So those movies were basically hidden away, before the VCRs and all that technology came about. So anyway, so it wasn't really long after that. That was the early days. So that was so cool to be able to get those movies, and there was a lot of money to pay for them. But I bought those VCR tapes, and I think I still have them, maybe. So I'll give somebody a deal on those. You want to buy them for a half price, or maybe $40, for a Outlaw Josey Wales VCR tape. No, okay. Anyway. Another favorite Western, real Westerns I love, are Lonesome Dove, one of my very favorite. I think I have these on my profile, some of these. Lonesome Dove is, of course, maybe you could almost say that's the top of all time, with Tommy Lee Jones and Robert Duvall. I mean, is Robert Duvall a national treasure or what? Unbelievable guy, unbelievable actor. And Tombstone, I like the Wyatt Earp movies, the one with Kevin Costner, Wyatt Earp. That's a great movie. And then the Tombstone, that's wonderful with Kurt Russell. Those are great movies. What else do I love? A couple of my favorite movies, too, of all time, The Shootist with John Wayne, his last movie. If you haven't seen that, you are missing something. That's a great one to watch. If you have not seen it, it's a great one to watch. If you have seen it, The Shootist. A lot of top actors of the day that were in movies with him, and he was dying of cancer, and in that movie, both as the plot of the movie and then in real life, he was dying of cancer, and all the folks in that movie knew it, and it was very difficult, as I understand, for them to make that movie with him. Because Lauren Bacall, Jimmy Stewart, those characters that were in there, they had known him for years and years, and knew that would be his last movie. And it was a great movie. But it's a favorite. Winchester 73, I like that one. Open Range, did I say that? Open Range is one of my favorites. Speaking of Robert Duvall, I love that movie. I like the Cowboys John Wayne movie. It's just called The Cowboys. That's a good one. If you have children and you have not introduce them to Westerns, that's a good one. There's a lot of young people in it, and it's just a good movie. And, oh man, there's a lot of them I'm not thinking of right now. I like Randolph Scott. Most of his movies are pretty good. I get the Westerns channel, so I get a lot of old stuff. I can handle a little bit of Gene Autry and all that. I don't get as crazy about Gene Autry as my dad did. He loved Gene Autry. Of course, he grew up with him, and my dad was a banjo player, guitar player, musician, so he loved Gene Autry. And back in the day when, he was the hero, so, back in the 40s, 50s. But if it's halfway well done, I can watch about any Western, because I love the Firearms and the whole business there. What else? I don't know. That's all. I mean, I could go into my DVD rack and rattle off about 40 titles. Of course, lots of good ones. Sometimes those B grade westerns that are not that well known turn out to be pretty good. You got to be careful picking them up off the shelf at the. Of course, we don't have as many rental places anymore, but I've been burned there a few times. You see a western that was just made in the last year or two, and you've never heard of it. There's possibly a good reason why you've never heard of it, or why I've never heard of it, and I sort of follow those. Some of those are really pathetic. But anyway, those are some of the westerns I like, and hopefully you've been introduced to some of those. If not, you're a young person who hates westerns, give it a try. Try Tombstone. If you've never seen a western movie, sat through an entire western movie, Tombstone might be a good one to start out with. It's glitzy enough. You'd probably like it. Now, I think it's R-rated, I guess. You really young people, if you're listening, I don't want to encourage you to watch something your folks don't want you to watch. But that's a great movie. We read Shane where I teach, and we have a little deal where they get a little bit extra credit if they watch a western with a parent or grandparent, and fill out a little bit of a form and who they watched it with and that kind of thing. And they always have a big time with that. The ones who have not seen westerns, they rather enjoy it. And it's fun to hear them talk about it after they've watched, the Cowboys or the Shootist or Open Range or something, to report back on it and say what they thought of it. And you'd be surprised how many young people really like those that have never seen them. So anyway, good westerns, hard to beat. Thought I might mention a couple of videos we've done recently, or just make some comments about it, and maybe let you know what's coming. Who knows? Again, you guys listen to the radio show, sometimes get some information I don't necessarily share elsewhere. You deserve to know something for sitting through these things that maybe others don't. Yeah, I'm going to give you the winning lottery numbers this week. Yeah, nah. We're really we're really pleased with the reception of the 1911 video we did, the anniversary video. We really weren't thinking we were doing like some definitive 1911 anniversary video or anything, and it wasn't, of course. But we just decided we were going to do it. We've been planning to do that. We knew we would do it months ago, that we would post something on the 29th, and it talked a little bit about it. Well, we'll just get all of our 1911s out and shoot them and celebrate that day and everything. And that's kind of all we did. And we just, as John and I normally do, we just talk about, well, what do we want to do? And and I remembered a can of ammo I had stashed, and let's just get that out and put it on the table and different things. And yeah, we just got a lot of stuff out that was 1911-ish. And the guns, and happened to have the range officer in from Springfield this week, and so just started having some fun with it. And that video has just been complimented to death. I really appreciate it. We're flattered. We enjoyed it. Just didn't expect that much enjoyment from you all, and sure glad you like it, because that gun deserves some special treatment, of course, having survived that long. It's not everybody's first choice and everybody's go-to gun, but it's a gun that almost every shooter has an immense amount of respect for, I think. It just really is. It just works most of the time, and fun to shoot, easy to shoot well, even though in .45 it's got a little bit of a kick to it. Too much for some people, maybe, but just a wonderful old gun, fun to shoot. I regard it a little bit like the Colt single action in a way. Back when I was competing pretty much, and I discovered some other guns might have been a little bit more reliable, and could count on them not to malfunction, pretty much. And I probably did a little bad mouthing of the old 1911s. There's nothing more frustrating than be running through a stage of fire in an IPSC match and have hang-ups or gun problems, and sometimes you can have in 1911, and so I did my share of bad-mouthing it at times, but I've always had an immense amount of respect, and I've owned them for a long, long time, and I guess I've kind of relegated them to range guns and packing around the farm guns for the most part, not totally, especially with the little Cobra carry. But they're sweet guns, fun to shoot, just a blast. I know a lot of you comment about how you're looking to get one, just don't have it yet, or how you enjoy the ones you have. But a little bit like a Colt single action, as I was saying it, in a great piece of history, and lots of reverence and respect for it. they're just fun to get out and shoot, even if you've never carried them and you never thought about using one for a defense, home defense or something. Just a great gun to shoot. So anyway, we had a lot of fun getting all those out and playing with them, and glad that we got that up there, that people enjoyed it, and hopefully will enjoy it for a long time, because nothing like good old 1911s. We had the range officer from Springfield there, and on that we just did a video this afternoon with that, our first video, just featuring that gun, and that was kind of fun too. Obviously shooting in 1911, I don't know, 100, 150 times. Can't hate that, can you? Had some nice gong action, nice visuals, I think, and got to do something with those sights. Well, I guess I don't. If I don't, so I'm gonna send it back to Springfield. I hate to paint sights. I don't think they'd like that much. But I really have gotten spoiled by having a white outline or something on my front sight other than just black. I don't know. Maybe some of you all still just leave the front sight black, but I just can't do it anymore. I haven't for a long time, actually, like decades. But it has a very crisp sight. It has that adjustable rear sight, like that old Bomar sight, if you're familiar with those, and the front sight is just a perfect picture, but just not quick to pick up at all for me. I don't know. You may feel differently about a sight like that, but not a big deal at all. If I were buying that gun or a gun like that with sights like that, I would, that's what sight paint was invented for, right? We used to use fingernail polish, not my own fingernail polish, but fingernail polish, and put on those front sights. And of course, there's a lot of products available now for that. But anyway, we enjoyed doing that video, and we've got, we have a list of things we want to do. In fact, this weekend, and hopefully get done what we want to get done, because we have several things we're anxious to do, video and play with. So we appreciate the support on those videos we post. Some turn out better than others, but hopefully they all offer something. You folks, speaking of guns and various models, you folks that are looking for a particular gun, particular Glock model or XT model or whatever, SIG or anything, even though I mentioned using the internet forums a lot and getting information, I tell you really need to get your hands on them. There's just some basic fundamental information here I want to pass along. You really do need to get your hands on that firearm before you get to, I know you will before you purchase it, of course, but my advice is get to gun shows, get to a range where they rent these guns if possible and shoot them, but gun shop somewhere and actually hold the guns, maybe compare them side by side, and before you get too worked up about any model, any particular, whether it's a Glock, SIG, you name it, I really highly recommend you try to get your hands on it before you get a lather up about it. I know how it is. I've been that way for decades. You start getting excited about a firearm, and you start thinking about, oh man, yeah, let's see, what's it going to cost? Let's see, can I afford that? Where can I find that? How should I buy it? Let me ask around about where I can find one. You just kind of get excited about it, and maybe get the cart before the horse sometimes. Really need to hold one, because I do get feedback from a lot of people that they thought they wanted a certain gun, but then they realized it was kind of big, or it was a lot heavier than they realized it was going to be, or it's a lot harder to carry than they thought it was going to be. It's a lot thicker than they expected. It's easy to just look at guns in a magazine, read articles about them, and how well they shoot for somebody, or you see me shoot them, and not really understand the size of that gun and how it feels in your hand, how it's going to feel in your hand. That's one reason I guess in recent months I've tried to do more with the calipers and give you kind of a size comparison, and hold up the guns together as much as possible. Try to give you a better idea of how large some of the firearms are, because that's a huge factor. I know I preach on that all the time, but I wanted to make that point that before you get excited. You know how it is. There's kind of a point there where it's hard to back off from. You have decided you're going to buy one of those. That's what I want. You know, try to hold off until you actually hold one, if at all possible, because it could make quite a big difference there. And you know what? I think it's time for the gun action of the week. Yes, sirree, Bob. Well, what was it last week I had out? You know what? I don't remember. I guess you guys just have to figure it out. Yeah, I remember now. And many of you did get it. Or you were close. It was a bolt action. Again, I don't have it with me, but it was a bolt action rifle. Or I'd give you a look at it if I had it, right? Let you take another look at it. It's bolt gun, and it is a gun you've not seen. But it's a fairly common gun. I think 8 or 10 of them were made back in the day. So, Mauser is a K98 or 98K, model 98 Mauser, 8mm. Okay, this is one we picked up recently, and we'll be doing a video with it. But, yep, that's what it was. Some of you got exactly what it was. You're familiar with that bolt and that particular action. So, this week, we have something a little different. That'll be my clue. This one is very different. And how shall I say, there's only so much I can do to give you a clue. Okay? So, I guess I might pull the trigger. Alright, we'll see. So, listen carefully. I will say it's a long gun. I'm going to cock it again. I've not pulled the trigger. I've still not pulled the trigger. We'll pull it once here. Okay. Another cock. And I don't think I'll pull the trigger again. Okay. Now that one won't be too easy, maybe. I don't know. Again, the clue is it's very different. How's that? So with that, we'll wrap things up for the week. Hope you got a chance to shoot this week, or you get a chance to shoot this weekend and enjoy these wonderful firearms that most of us have. If you're listening to this, you probably have one or two, right? And I hope maybe we'll see some of you at Knob Creek that live in the area. The Knob Creek Machine Gun Shoot. That's, I guess, next weekend. And we may see some of you even in Pittsburgh at the NRA convention in a few weeks. But keep up the shooting, and again, make sure you're being sensible and representing all of us as best you can, both on the range and on the internet. Yeah, there are some people who don't represent us too well on the internet, aren't there? You see comments made, even on my videos. I don't really incite a lot of controversy or riots, I don't think, by things I say or do in my videos, but it doesn't matter, does it? There are folks out there that don't have a life, and they just troll around and try to disturb other people. So, but those are not shooters. They're not shooters. They're just troublemakers, and there always will be those in the world. 99% of us do things right, and people know that. So anyway, do something good for the shooting sports if you can, and buy some ammo if you can, shoot a gun if you can. By all means, go to the internet, plug in YouTube, and look for some those Hickok45 videos, and you'll see my ugly face. Good chatting with you, and we'll talk to you later. You've been listening to the Hickok45 radio show. See you on the range.